Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter, and we are back again for day number 2 of our challenges. We are ready to go. We got people jumping into the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on over to Behance and let's do some design work inside of Adobe XD. We got Fergie in the house, Hanny, Gal, Uriel, and Sam Peterson moderating our chat. I'm going to kick right over to my screen so we can get started and start doing some really cool work. If you have never done the XD Daily Creative Challenge, all you got to do is head over here to behance.net/challenge/XD. Sign up, hit that big blue button. Wow. Get a hold of your starting file and jump in with me just like we're going to right now. At the end of the stream, we're also going to be reviewing some work in the Discord server, so make sure you jump over there so we can review your work. To do that, you can scroll down at the bottom of your starting file and you can find the link to join the XD Discord server. And in our starting file, we also have some explanation of the challenge for the day. Challenge number 2, we're gonna be designing a web experience where users can track their life coaching goals. So maybe like a life coaching dashboard or interface. And we're gonna be leveraging the power of scroll groups, anchor links to make this whole thing come together and just be really easy to use. So with that being said, let's get started. Let's start doing some design work. Rosie Way, Zeka Aloof, Gal, MY, all in the house. And we have our starting dashboard right over here with a couple of assets that have been placed there. So why don't we go ahead and get started and see what we need to start doing. What do we have on our dashboard right now? We got some links going up in the chat from Sam Peterson on how you can join the challenge and how you can sign up for Discord. So let me see. We have a sidebar over here that has some stock kind of icons in it. And we have some titles and some cards that are already built in and the beginnings of a schedule. So we'll start using some repeat grid to build that out. And that is all we have. So let's zoom out and let's see what we can do. Now these cards are going to be a great place to host some cool illustrations. Maybe you want to use images. You could use some great plugins for that. If you've never used plugins, let me move myself out of the way so you can see. All you have to do is go down to the bottom left-hand corner. Right now we're currently in the layers panel, but we could go to the plugins panel and we could explore all the different plugins. These are a bunch of plugins that I love to use. So maybe you want to use something like that. Maybe you're looking for an illustration. The Undraw plugin right here would be a good one. This will allow you to search all sorts of free stock illustrations and plug some of those in. So that could be a good thing. If you're looking to install some new plugins, you just go up to the little plus button and then you can find a bunch of really cool plugins in the XD plugin store or marketplace. So, okay, that's pretty cool. I do have some illustrations also already that we might be using. I couldn't include these in your starting file, but I think they might work nicely for ours. Now, I'm gonna drag this over and just pop it right in place there. And I'm gonna bring it inside my card layer. And now we have a little card. Beautiful little card, easy, simple. Each one of these cards has not only an illustration and this really cool color behind it, it's also gonna have some typography. We're gonna be using Poppins today, and it has a progress bar as well, okay? So, you know, I could imagine if you were, maybe had some life goals, you had a coach, they were recommending some courses for you to take, that you might have a couple of courses you're taking at one time. So we could either hit repeat grid, which would be Command or Control R, and we could start repeating these right across just like that. I'm thinking we're gonna leave a little bit of space for probably like a sidebar over here. And so you could either do it like that using the repeat grid. You could then make a bunch of edits to this repeat grid, or you could then ungroup, or we could just backtrack if we wanted to and just space these out like so. All right, so I'm spacing a few of these cards out pretty good. I'm gonna delete these illustrations. Let's bring in some new illustrations. I'm just cutting them out of their spots where they were, Command or Control X. I'm clicking on the selected layer and I'm Command or Control V pasting them in. Now we got some pretty cool illustrations in there. Why don't we mix these up a little bit? Why don't we use some different colors? Like why don't we use like maybe like a really cool muted blue. I'm gonna move myself out of the way so you can see everything that's going on the right hand panel. I'm going to select my shape and we could do something like a gradient, like linear or radial gradient. We'll just keep it solid colors for this little experiment, this concept. Maybe something a little bit lighter like that, okay? And we could fill it with a bunch of text, physical health, mental recovery. Let's call this one discovering new ideas. And then let's call this one networking. That's not how you spell networking. Oh my goodness, can we talk about how much I love the fact that Adobe XD has spell check? Because I am a big fan of spell check. I need spell check in everything that I do, okay? All right, that's looking pretty good. I like the direction that we're headed there. Why don't we, let me see. What do we need to do next? Probably let's work on the schedule down here. We can just select our artboard here. And you can see we have a new option in one of the newest updates that it's our ability to share artboards. So we can just hit that little share button. It'll create a generated share link for that individual artboard. So that's a cool little thing we could do if we want. I'm gonna head up to the top right-hand corner. I'm gonna play my prototype, and I'm gonna sneeze also in a second. So maybe keep that in mind. All right, so we have our prototype playing. Everything's looking pretty good. Now, I'm imagining on our schedule, we're gonna have a lot of schedule. You can see this. We could either do a scroll group and encapsulate the whole thing, which we might do, or we can make the whole page scroll. Which one should we do? Should you tell me in the chat? Let me know if we should make this entire artboard scroll, like making this bigger like this, or if we should just encapsulate this in maybe like a vertical scroll group. Kind of depends. Could be interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. We're also going to have a kind of side panel over here. So why don't we hit L for line? I get a smart guide that comes up. I'm going to draw a nice vertical line that goes down just to separate. Let's bring the opacity of that down a little bit. Just something really subtle, really clean and easy. Okay. Okay. Next, I'm going to come in here and why don't we work this schedule? Now I kind of pre-created a few of these little pieces of our grid because I wanted to save a little bit of time. So we have our timeline here. You can see it says timeline inside of our grid folder. And we're definitely going to want to do repeat grid because that is going to save us a ton of time on this. So I'm going to hit Command or Control R, depending on your operating system. And I'm going to scroll this way down. Let's just go ahead and scroll this down just like so. And I'm going to make some updates here. This is going to be the tedious part. I'm going to hit 9 o'clock. Then I'm going to hit 10 o'clock. You guessed it. We're just going to keep going. And while I am filling these out, let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I'd love to answer any and all of your questions if I'm able to answer your questions. Fergie says yes, spell check for the win. I agree. It's so needed. So needed. There's a lot of other design software that does not have spell check, and boy, I'll tell you, it's not good. It's not a good thing. I'm going to move these over just a little bit. Notice how when I move one thing in my repeat grid, everything moves, which is so nice. I appreciate that. All right, 1 p.m. Then let's go to 2 and on. We can keep going. We won't fill out all of these because, you know, that's not super fun. But we will fill a couple of these out so you can see. Okay, so we filled those out. We have this nice long thing. It extends past the artboard. So what do we want to do? We want to create a repeat grid, or excuse me, a horizontal scroll. So we have our timeline here, and we can actually grab the gutters in between and stretch those out a little bit if we want. We might do that actually. Just give a little bit more space. And you can see that all of that's happening right here. I can still grab my entire timeline, but now what I want to do is add a vertical scroll group, which is going to help me, scroll these items. And you'll see as soon as I do that, I get my little blue handles that I can extend up or down. And as soon as I now select my artboard, press play, we're going to be able to make this thing scroll up and down, which is kind of nice, kind of fun little functionality. If we wanted to have a single page web application where users have to stay on this frame, then this could be useful. Otherwise, we could just let them scroll down. We could do that too. But we're gonna do it this. Actually, you know what? I tell you what, I'm gonna backtrack because actually I have a good idea. So I'm gonna backtrack on that scroll group, and I think I am going to extend out the length of the entire artboard, okay? Why, you say? Because I think I might want to do some anchor linking, and this will be helpful for my anchor linking. So I'm going to unlock my white layer there, and I'm going to continue dragging this down. Now this blue line that's there represents, if you're not used to this, it represents the kind of above the fold. What does the prototype actually see? Do we want to see more? Do we want to see less? We kind of have it set up at a standard 1920 by 1080. So we can just like keep that exactly where it is, and it's going to cut off everything that's below this fold. Now I can just scroll down. But one thing that's happening is our navigation is also leaving. It's scrolling up. Maybe we want that to stay in place. We can do that. All we have to do is select that navigation. So let's select it there in our layers panel. Let's unlock it so we could work on it. And why don't we just hit this little, I'm going to turn my prototype off so we can see a little bit, shall I? With navigation selected, I'm going to head over and I'm going to say fixed position when scrolling. That's all. It's the magic of fixed position when scrolling. And now look what happens. We keep our controls on the left-hand side. We're able to scroll up and down. It looks nice. I like it. Keeps everything where it's supposed to be. So again, that blue dividing line is our quote unquote above the fold. If you don't know what above the fold is, it's kind of a term that we pull from the old timey days with newspapers. What's above that fold of the newspaper? What's the first thing that we see that I don't have to scroll down to get to, right? Okay, so we have the rest of our times there. Why don't we build some blocks into this thing? I'm liking the style of this. This is working good, but I want to be able to access each one of those. So what I'm going to do is right click on this, ungroup the grid, and now we get all of those individual layers, which is really nice. I'm going to group it back together with just Command or Control G to group it. And then I'm going to call this my timelines inside there. Okay, so far so good. I'm a real big fan of like using repeat grid, ungrouping things. It's just part of my workflow. It doesn't have to be part of your workflow. You can do it however you want. Varnika says whole artboard. All right, that's absolutely true. Like this is exactly what we do. We use the whole artboard. So good call to Varnika, and thanks for everybody for joining us at our live stream today. I had some really cool content the last few days on Adobe Live. It's been really, really fun. Okay, I'm gonna create maybe some schedule cards. I think that would definitely be the next thing you want. Maybe our life coach has given us some goals. So I'm gonna drop those inside, and now you can see when I drop them inside, they actually line up really, really well to everything that's in the group. So look at that, I can just snap it right to the group. I'm gonna drag my corners just to add a little border radius. You can do that by dragging everything in like that and softening the edges or the corners. You can also come over in your inspector panel and you can manually change that number. So I'm going to change it to something like 8. If you want to, I don't know if everyone knew this, you can also come in and do different border radiuses or corner radiuses for each different corner. You can separate those, or if you want to keep them consistent, you can do it that way as well. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's fill this with a fun color. We should just drag down. Why don't we, I'm going to hit I, and that just brings up my little eyedropper tool. I love that. That's like such a quick, easy little thing to do. So this is like a little, an hour-long appointment, but we could stretch these things to be like multiple hours, something like that. And why don't we reuse some typographic styles that we have in our card up there, zoom in, and let's build a little schedule card. Doesn't have to be really complex for our use case. Let's just make this typography white, and we'll zoom in our text there. That's probably a little bit big for this card, so I'm going to drop this down to like 14, and then we'll say something like let's do coursework here, and then we'll do we'll just do like a time, right? So we'll just bring the time up there like that, and we'll say 9 to 12, right? So 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., something like that. Could be that simple. Let's do that. I'm going to grab these. I'm going to left align to make sure everything's lined up really, really nicely. And you could, if you wanted to, we could group these together and then we could add stack. Have you ever used stack? Stacks is a great feature inside of Adobe XD. Once I add a stack to a group, so now I have my group and I've turned on stacks, I can grab the elements inside. I can rearrange elements in the stack, which is pretty nice. And I don't lose my spacing. So instead of moving it and then reworking the spacing, I just turn the stack on. Isn't that better? That's so much better. Okay, now with the stack turned on there, why don't we, good, everything's looking good there. We have our details. And why don't we grab this, the card that's beneath it, group that whole thing together, and we turn on padding. Now our padding, we can actually manipulate the time or like the amount of time using the padding if you wanted to. But what's really cool about this is if for some instance or for some reason later on you wanted to fill this with a bunch more stuff, it's going to keep that consistent padding, which is kind of nice. So let's take this whole thing and we'll call this a card, and I'm going to hit Command or Control K to turn it into a component. And now we can work some of these things into our schedule. So this is going to actually be, let's make these a little smaller and line them up, shall we? Boom, boom. See how my padding is kicking in? Ah, that works so good. See, I want these to fall on the days. Something like that works a little bit better. So I'm going to take coursework there. Let's do something on a Wednesday. Let's do something else on like a Friday. And then let's do it a little bit smaller so I can actually hold down. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this. I can actually hold down to manipulate the padding that we see over here. You can do it with the values there. Or I can hover over my card, hold down the tilde key on my keyboard, and then I can kind of mix and match like the padding, like the spacing. And I've just changed the instance to this individual card. So I didn't mess with the master, which is really, really nice. Let's come in here and let's just change the color, just so we're having some fun and using some of these other really nice colors. All right, there's coursework. This one could be mentor meetup, something like that. And this one could be meditation. Let's do meditation. That word does actually fit. Okay, great. And we can update all the values, right, for like the times and stuff, but we're just throwing a bunch of these things on there. So why don't we bring another one of these down? This is going to be on Tuesday. Oh, you know what we could have done? We could have created component states for the colors. That would have been pretty sick, but it's okay. We'll just keep it like this. All right, so we got some dates there. Now, again, when we bring our prototype up, we can scroll down, see the whole thing, which is pretty nice. But we might want to be able to click right here and drop down, anchor link down to get to the, to see the entire schedule. That's what I really want to do. I want to be able to fast forward to it. So I'm going to grab the icon that's there for schedule. I'm going to head over to prototype, and instead of dragging or prototyping to another artboard, I'm going to drag and drop onto an element on my current artboard, and we're going to anchor link down. So why don't we anchor link down here, just like that. And you can see it says now my trigger is on tap. We're going to scroll to the element that has a name of grid, and we can have like a little bit of an ease in, ease out. Why don't we do this, and it'll take 1 entire second like that. And we'll see there's a Y offset that we'll mess with here in a second. Let's try that prototype and see what happens. If I click, it scrolls me right down. Now, that could be exactly what we want. That might be exactly where we want it to scroll to, but maybe I still want to see the words my schedule. I want to scroll like maybe something right there. I want to change the offset. To do that, you can grab your little lightning bolt thing that's happening there, and you can change the offset. Or you can see you can also do it over here, the Y offset. The Y is the vertical, the up-down axis on our design project. So let's try that again. Now we've changed. Ooh, not quite there. Let's go a little bit more. I'm just going to go right above the title. Press play again. Ooh, a little bit more. So it's nice because it lines up pretty visual, right? Like we want the top of our prototype to stop right there, right? Okay, so let's go check it out one more time. Should be able to click right there. Now let's do another one for home that takes us all the way back up to the top. That's what we want to be able to do. So let's click top right there. And why don't we click something like back up to my courses, and let's see how this whole thing comes together. We can scroll down to our schedule and back up to my courses. We can go a little bit further. So why don't we go a little bit further? We want that to be all the way to the top, right? Let's go there, and then all the way back up to the top. That works great. Really, really smooth. Really, really fun. Kiki says, could we make it so when my schedule gets to the top of the page, then it becomes a scroll group so the heading is always visible? Ooh, that's tricky. You know, you probably could do something like that, but you'd have to have like a double version, a second version of your schedule. You'd want to hide it, and as everything scrolls up, you'd want to reveal the scroll group version. So you definitely could do something like that. It would take a little bit of tricky, manipulating to make it work, but I bet you probably could. I challenge you even to do it in your homework. That could be really, really fun. I'd love to see a little bit more there. So, all right, why don't we do another little scroll group section? We got another, we might be running out of time. So with that, let's just throw a few things in here. And I'd love to see you guys work on this in your homework so you can submit this in your server, the Discord server tomorrow for me to look at. But I'd love you to create an instructor section up here. Maybe you hit E for ellipse, open up a really fun plugin like UI Faces. I'm gonna move myself out of the way and go down to a fun plugin like UI Faces and search for a face, and the plugin will go out and do that for me. Maybe Elizabeth Olsen from WandaVision is my mentor, and there we go. And we can just move some little elements up. I'd love to see a little section about the mentor up here, and then I would love to see a bunch of repeating kind of tasks down here, right? So maybe we just curve that out and do something kind of neutral like that. And then I'd love to see a bunch of tasks that lead down the page. That could be really, really fun. And I messed up that. So why don't we just, perfect. Put everything back and let's look at our prototype one more time. I'd love to see something like that. So we could scroll down and scroll back up. I'd love to be able to see maybe some categories done incomplete here, and then see some filtering like we did yesterday, or maybe some more anchor links that go up and down. With that being said, I'm going to go to my main camera really, really quickly so I can bring up our Discord server where we can review some of your work. So again, after you're done with your project today, make sure that you submit your work on Behance. Make sure you use the hashtag XDDailyChallenge. Also submit your work to the Discord server, which you're going to see here in a second. And so we can review some of your work right here on the channel. Here we go. We got some cool stuff going on here. We're going to go over to the challenge section. And what do we have? Man, oh man, we got some really cool work we're going to take a look at. Here is a little bit of filtering that's happening. I'm going to take a look at this, and let's go full screen from Natalie Miller. Okay, really smooth. I like that color palette, Natalie. It's looking pretty hot. Like the illustrations in there, and the filtering functionality works really, really good. Yep, you got to watch out a little bit for the spacing. You want to make sure that when you select your tags here, we keep them in the similar space so we don't get those little wandering tags. But that's really beautiful. It's a clean interaction. I love it. It looks really, really good. Let's look at this one. I wish I could pronounce this wonderful name, but I can't. So I'm just going to say, it's your turn. Let's look at your work. Here we go. Pets training. Okay. Oh, cool. Yep. Got some vertical scroll groups. Nice. Isn't it nice when things, just a little bit of motion? That's snappy. That's fun. I like your implementation up here, like your typography, like the color palette. Really, really fun. The only thing I would say is maybe watch out for that scroll group. Make sure that it expands all the way down to the nav bar in this situation so it doesn't disappear. We'd want to have that extend all the way down. It's looking really, really good. Love it, love it, love it. Let's look at another one. This one is by Anian. We are going to press play. Check this one out. Okay. Whoops, I pressed pause. Like it, got that masonry grid thing going. Really fun illustration stuff at the top. Again, watch out for that scroll group. Make sure you lead it all the way to the end. But the filtering animation is straight fire. Loving it. And also, can we go back? I thought I saw some more motion happening. Wait, did it? Oh, I thought I saw the clouds move. You know, that would be a really, really fun thing to try to figure out in Adobe XD is like when you click pop or like indoors or outdoors, I'd love to see this background change. How fiery, how spicy would that be? Let's do one more. We got like 30 more seconds. Let's go to Behance and look at this one that was submitted by Selamung. This is our food highlighter. Beautiful presentation. Great portfolio piece right here. And then this is going to be a tough one to view. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Wonderful, clean interface. Love the colors, really pop. Love the pizza and the food in there. Great imagery and the little heart. Oh, I like that you put icons in the tags. That's a beautiful design decision. It looks flawless. It looks seamless. I wish I had more time to look at more of this amazing work, but we will see you right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place for the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter. I hope that you enjoyed the stream today. Again, put all your stuff on Behance, submit your stuff to Discord. I can't wait to see your life coach, your mentoring dashboards tomorrow. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Take care.